What's up troops, it's me TheTacticalBrit, and as you can probably tell by my cold, I have been to a capture event. It's pretty common at these things to somehow walk away with a flu, and nobody quite knows why, but hey ho, it happened. But I got lots of awesome Titanfall 2 footage to show you guys, as you're seeing across the channel, and today I wanted to talk to you about my brand new impressions of the game. Now, the build of Titanfall 2 that I previously played was the alpha tech test. We're now at a new stage here, and this is the final version of the game that I got to play, and I'd like to bring you guys my updated impressions on the game ever since that previous video. As many of you would have remembered, that previous video was pretty much bashing the game in a lot of aspects. It didn't feel like Titanfall back then, and it didn't really feel like a game that I'd enjoy. Now, things have changed quite drastically, and after playing the final version of the game, I'm actually incredibly happy with how Titanfall 2 has turned out, and I really do believe that it's a very good title. Now, a couple of things to note just before I dive on in is that the gameplay you're seeing is on PC. It's got very high graphics. Admittedly, it was recorded in 1080p, but you're looking at like some uber good gameplay from a really good PC, so if you're blown away by the visuals, although they're probably as good or too good to a degree on other platforms, they're not going to be as good as you're probably seeing right now, because it was a really high PC settings. But beyond that, the impressions were pretty much on the basis of playing in a room with a bunch of other YouTubers. Now, what has changed? Now, for me, Titanfall didn't really have the whole Titanfall feel in the alpha tech test. It felt very bland. It felt like it was just a common shooter that lacked a lot of character and didn't really feel like Titanfall. The movement system didn't feel quite there. Things felt a little bit clunky, and things just didn't feel fun. Things have changed. Now, alongside some of the maps that were in the actual alpha test themselves, new maps that have been put in have a much more Titanfall 2 feel, and there's a lot of variation. The devs have managed to make a really good mix of close quarters to very open ranges kind of maps, and they're encouraging lots of different playstyles. I found that on these close quarters maps it was good fun. There was lots of wall running. It was the Titanfall we were used to, and on some of these open, more broad maps, it was a good war zone. It was fun to play things like attrition in, and it gave you that sort of battlefield feel, and I really liked that because it kind of enticed you to play the game a bit more. You felt really involved in what was going on, and it was good fun. And a lot of these open maps have lots of tunnels and alleyways and little river sections and stuff that you can wall run between. You can use your zip lines on, you can use stim, and you can bounce around these maps really quickly. The movement system in general and the maps in general just feel like they've overall improved. Everything just feels a lot more fluid. Everything feels more like Titanfall. The movement system is really there now. Like, admittedly, before in the tech test, it was about getting momentum, and the momentum just sort of didn't really feel quite there on some of the maps that we played. But after playing around with it for about sort of 20 to 30 hours, maybe more, it was really good. I was starting to string together some really good wall runs, some really good slides. I was starting to find myself like coming out of a wall run, jumping into a slide, and then like knocking down two people with an assault rifle, and then bouncing around onwards, and it felt so much fun. The movement system felt like a lot of fun, and the maps themselves are catering towards Titanfall 2's movement system in a very healthy way that I think is very beneficial for the game. And I feel like that's a big step forward in comparison to the tech test, where things just didn't feel quite right. They felt a little bit clunky here and there, and now they feel a lot better. Moving on to weapons and balancing. Now, although there was a standout weapon for me during this final build, which was the G2, which I've made an entire video on, everything felt really well balanced. It felt like I had time to react now in this new build with Titanfall 2. Previously, in the alpha tech test, I complained that when I got shot, it felt like I literally had no time to do anything, and by the time I was shot, that was it. It was game over. Now, things have slightly changed, and we were playing on PC, so as you can imagine, a lot of people were using keyboard and mice, and therefore were very accurate. But despite that, I was managing to use the terrain around me, using my abilities, and just using my general movement and thought process to actually have a kind of response when I was getting shot at. And it felt like the time to kill had been slightly bumped up as well to accommodate for more of a reaction time. Although I cannot completely confirm that the time to kill did go up, it just felt like with everything that was finally there in the game, with all the movement, all the maps, and the way things were catering towards each other in a very healthy and fluid manner, it felt like that I actually had a decision to make, and I had a process where if somebody shot at me, I could get out of the way, get into a good position, and shoot back. And that was something that I was really looking for to come out of the final build of the game, and it definitely has. So far we've discussed maps and balancing. What about modes? Well, as for modes, there's a really good mix of things now. They've included some pilot versus pilot modes, a lot of AI modes such as is attrition and bounty hunt. They've actually changed how bounty hunt works as well. They've allowed it so that, like, previously, before, when bounty hunt, you sort of went to a bank and deposited everything and that'd be it. Now you actually make money as well just from destroying bots without having to deposit it in certain respects and things like that. It's a very improved version of bounty hunt, and it works a lot better than the previous version that sometimes felt a little bit unfair. Like, one guy would do a lot of work, get shot, and then lose everything. Now you lose like 50% of it, but it feels a bit more fluid and it feels a bit more functional, and once you guys start playing it yourselves, I'm sure you're going to have a blast playing the game too. The AI as well in this game mode have also been bumped up, and the AI across the board have been bumped up to actually be a bit more threatening and a bit more challenging. So if you think you can lone wolf a bunch of AI, you should be very prepared for some bad outcomes, or at least do it in a strategical and tactical manner. But as for other game modes, things are looking pretty fresh and pretty good, which is what I like to see. Capture the Flag is looking great, free-for-all's looking great, pilot versus pilot's looking great, although I do have some discrepancies as to why there are Titans in Capture the Flag, because it feels like once the Titans are in, it just kind of falls apart. It's a bit iffy here and there, and things just don't feel very fluid as they did previously when it was just pilots versus pilots. Overall, everything feels pretty good. We've got free-for-all, we've got bounty hunt, we've got attrition, we've got capture the flag, we've got amped hardpoint, we've got some really interesting modes like Coliseum, which is like a 1v1 mode, which is very fresh and original. There's also like mix pack playlists. There's playlists that kind of like throw everything together and let you have a good sort of here and there of everything, and it just feels really good. I must mention as well that the re-addition of attrition to the game, which apparently wasn't taken out in the first place, they just hadn't actually announced it, was very good. It felt like a war zone. It felt like Titanfall 1, and the way it was just sort of like everything was going crazy, shit's popping off left, right, and center. You got bullets flying everywhere. It gives you that feel. It gives you the sort of feel of individuality and the way that you can make a difference in the attrition like battle, and how your individual actions could shape the rest of the game. And I just felt like overall the modes felt very healthy. There was a good mixture, and I think it's going to keep a lot of players interesting, whether you're into just AI modes or Titan versus Titan or pilot versus pilot. You know, there's going to be something there to accommodate everybody, and I think that did very well, and I think it was well received from the people that were playing the game with me, and it looked like a lot of fun just to sort of dive into any game mode, and I felt like you could have fun in any game mode, especially if you were playing the objectives very helpfully. It had a really good feel to it, and I really enjoyed the modes, the maps, and the guns thus far. And there's also some really nice additions here and there that I'd like to talk about. Customization is to a T. There's lots of customization for your guns, abilities, camouflages. You can change your sights here and there. There are about only 5 different sights, but it's still quite nice to have. And there's lots of different abilities for your guns as well. You can have like faster reloads, extra stuff here and there. You can have 2 of those abilities once your gun sort of reaches a certain level of prestige. And there's a lot of progression system in the game as well, which I'm really enjoying at the moment. The progression system for your weapons, there's progression systems for your character, there's also progression systems for the different factions that you can play as, which will all give you different gifts, give you different camouflages, give you different badges and titles and things that you can use to customize your character and weapons in lots of different ways, which is really badass. And this extends to the Titans as well. There's different camouflages that they can get through progression, through killing a certain amount of Titans, through inflicting a certain amount of damage, but there's just a lot to work for as a player, and it feels very healthy, it feels very rich in terms of content. And although I wasn't too sort of like keen on the fact that there didn't seem to be a large amount of weapons, it compensates for itself because the weapons that are there have a very rich progression line within them that you can sort of chase up by yourself. There's a good number of assault rifles, there's about 3 LMGs, a few snipers here and there, but like I say, they all sort of come together to allow you to chase down your own individual goals with that weapon and with your overall character. The network system is still there and it looks great. You can sort of arrange your happy hours so that you can have a group of your friends online and you can go, oh, you know, guys, we're going to play at 8 o'clock every day, double XP for all of you. It's good fun. It's a very sociable system, and you'll even be able to communicate via a website or an app from what I understand, which is really awesome too. And it just looks like overall Titanfall 2 has shaped up to be a really good title in the end. And I'm really happy with that because, you know, I wanted Titanfall 2 to be a good, like, sort of overall video game, one that you'd enjoy. I haven't had a chance to play the campaign at this point, but overall that's just multiplayer impressions, and it was just a really good experience, and I'm really happy with where it's at now, considering the video I made a few months back, and I think you guys are going to enjoy the game as much as I did. There's plenty of other videos available on my channel, guys. If you want to check those out, please do. It's been me, TheTacticalBrit. As always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon with another video.